Hi, my name is Dan Roman. I'm a staff attorney at the Center for Hope and Safety, primarily handling restraining orders. I'm a recent graduate of Seton Hall Law School and joined the Center for Hope and Safety 6 months ago after clerking for Superior Court Judge Miguel de la Carrera in Passaic County. The legal department at CHS is on the front line in the fight against domestic violence. We represent victims in court and help obtain final restraining orders, divorces, custody, child support, and various other remedies for our clients. In 2019, the legal department was able to serve 324 clients. Now, we unfortunately do not have the resources to represent every single client who calls CHS, but we do our best to provide advice and counsel to every victim who reaches out to us. Our first and foremost concern is the safety and well-being of our clients and their families. Every decision we make and guidance we give to our clients is based solely on what will keep them safe and give them peace of mind. Now, our legal department is lucky enough to have an incredibly hardworking and passionate staff. We have 3 attorneys and 2 legal assistants. Our legal program administrator, Michelle, is bilingual, and having her allows us to communicate with our clients who speak Spanish. Now, today I would like to share a story from one of my clients. Her name is Joan. Joan married her husband Julio in Central America. After 3 years of marriage, Joan and Julio came to the United States after he promised to give a better life for their family. However, once they got to the U.S., Julio was not the same person Joan fell in love with years before. Julio was controlling, jealous, and verbally abusive, and not long after the abuse started, it turned physical. Julio would often drink too much and assault Joan, sometimes leaving her with black eyes and fat lips. Joan hoped and prayed that Julio would change and held on to that hope for 3 years. He promised he would go to couples therapy and wanted to be a better father for their son. He promised he would change. However, one day, Julio had too much to drink and started cursing at Joan in front of his family. He slapped her and punched her in the face twice. Stunned and scared, Joan ran to her apartment where she had a panic attack. Now, thankfully, her sister was there to bring her to the hospital, but Joan had suffered immense emotional and now physical pain. Thinking about her and her children's safety, Joan had had enough. Joan worked up the courage to file for a temporary restraining order against Julio. But without the resources to hire an attorney and being unable to speak English, Joan did not know where to turn. Now, thankfully, Joan learned about CHS and reached out to us for help. At CHS, Joan found much more than just an attorney. Because we have a bilingual legal assistant, Joan was able to easily communicate with our staff. In addition to obtaining legal advice on her restraining order, we were also able to advise Joan on her immigration case and answer all of her questions regarding her status in the United States. With our help, Joan also developed a safety plan in order to ensure that her and her children were free from danger. And during the holidays, Joan was able to cook a Thanksgiving meal for her family and give several gifts to her children at Christmas, all provided to her by CHS free of charge. Now, unfortunately, Joan's legal case was not as simple as she had hoped, but we were there for her each and every step of the way. At her first court appearance, Julio was not present, and the judge moved the matter to another date. Joan was understandably confused and nervous. For the next few months, we regularly communicated with Joan and assured her that we would do everything in our power to help her obtain her final restraining order. And finally, after 7 months of waiting, the defendant showed up to court and the trial began. After preparing with us for months, Joan was ready to tell the judge her story. And through a few tears and with us by her side, she told the judge everything Julio had done to her. But when Julio was able to speak, Joan was terrified. He began to lie about her, and more tears came to her eyes. Desperate, she looked at me for help. I smiled and told her, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay." I was able to successfully object to numerous pieces of inadmissible evidence Julio tried to present. When one of his witnesses tried to disparage Joan, another successful objection prevented a false conspiracy about her from being brought up to the judge. When the trial was over and the judge heard all the testimony, he decided that Joan was credible and Julio was not. He told Joan that he believed her story, and he filed a final restraining order in her favor against Julio in order to protect her and her family. It was over. Joan had won. This time, she cried tears of relief and happiness as she walked out of the courthouse. Her family was finally safe. Now, Joan's story is one of many of our clients who come to CHS for help at their most desperate times, and I'm so honored and privileged to be a part of such an incredible organization and to have the opportunity to change people's lives. Thank you so much for your time and watching this video.